So today we're doing something very similar to what we've been doing the last 2 days, division, right? Except the last couple days we did long division, right? Long division. Long division works. It works. If you're using division, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But it's long, right? There some of the problems you guys had, there was, it was pretty long process, right? Well, there's another type of division which works the exact same but looks different. Okay? It's called synthetic division. Synthetic. So anything that's synthetic, what does the word synthetic mean? If I say something synthetic, what does that mean? What does that usually mean? Yeah, it means fake, right? It's fake, not the real, right? But it works the same. Like I have synthetic grass in my backyard. It looks green, it looks like grass, but it's not real. It's not real, but it functions the same. It functions exactly the same. So even though it's not real, it still does the same thing. That's synthetic division. It does the same thing, but it doesn't function exactly the same way. Okay, so that's the difference between synthetic division and long division. They do the same thing, right? They do the same thing, but the way they do it is a little different. Okay, we still have dividends, divisors, quotients, right? Dividend is the guy who yesterday went inside the house. During the notes, right? We had the house. This guy went inside the house. This guy went outside the house, right? The dividend went in here, and the divisor went out here. Okay? We're not going to have that house today. We're not going to have that. It's not going to look like that. This is kind of a look of it, but once you see it, it'll make more sense. Or it might not make sense. It might not make sense the first time, but eventually when you get it, it kind of uh, will make sense to process. Okay? So let's start. Let's do the first problem. There's only one way to do it, by looking at it, watching it. Okay. So the first thing, instead of a big house, we have a little house and it's turned upside down. Right? With long division, we had one of these guys, right? Today we don't. We have it kind of flipped over and it kind of looks different. Okay. So what goes in there? What goes in there is the 0 of the divisor. Okay. So what's the divisor? The divisor was the second guy, the guy that went in the front of the house, right? The divisor was this guy out here. The dividend was this guy here. Okay. So let's look at this now. So which one of these guys? Let me change colors here. Purple or green? Which one is the divisor? The green, right? That guy, the green, if we were doing long division, the green would go in front, the purple would go inside the house, right? That's what we did yesterday and the last 2 days. Okay, so now the green is going to go in front, but not the whole thing. I don't need all of x plus 2. I just need the 0 of x plus 2. Okay? So, in other words, what would I plug into this guy to make it 0? What's that? That's one way to do it, right? One way to find a 0 is by setting it equal to 0. That's one way to do it, right? So then we've done this before many times, right? We subtract 2 from both sides. The 0 would be -2. That's one way to do it, to find the 0. What's another way to find the 0? Mental math. Is there a mental math way I could do the same thing? Swap the sign, yeah. What would I plug in here to make this whole thing cancel out? -2. Either way is okay. So in other words, -2 is our 0 that we're going to plug in. Okay, that's the first thing. That's the first thing that's different. The second thing that's different is I don't need x to the third, x squared, negative 10x, negative 16. I don't need to write all of those. I'm only going to write the coefficients of those guys, the numbers in front. So when I write them, I'm only going to write the 1 in front of x cubed, the 1 in front of x squared, the negative 10 in front of x, and the negative 16. I just want the numbers. I don't want the x's and x squareds and all of that. I'll put them back in later, but for right now, I don't need them. Okay. And then I'm going to draw a line right here. That's your setup. That's what it looks like. Now we're going to start the process. Okay. So here's the process. The first thing with synthetic division is the first guy always goes straight down. Always. Doesn't matter what it is, it always goes straight down. So 1 is going to go straight down here. Okay. And then to continue the process, we're going to multiply, just like we did with long division. You're going to multiply. So what am I going to multiply? I'm going to multiply this guy down here times this guy right here. When I multiply those two, I get negative 2. So the negative 2 is going to go here. I don't need to change the sign like I did yesterday. Like when I did long division, you change the signs. You don't need to do that. You always just add straight down. So I have positive 1 plus a negative 2. So what is 1 plus a negative 2? Negative 1. You're just subtracting 1. It's just adding a negative is the same way as saying subtraction. So it's negative 1. So we put negative 1 down here. We do the same process I just did. Multiply first. Multiply. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. I'm going to put that guy right there. Add straight down. Negative 10 plus 2, negative 8. Do the process again. Negative 8 times negative 2, positive 16. Negative 16 plus 16 is 0. I'm done. The division is done. You've just done division. Okay? Now we got to put back everything that was there at the beginning, right? We took away a lot of things. We took away the x's here, right? The x's, we got to put those back. Well, before we do that, this guy here, that guy there is always going to be your remainder. That guy is always going to be your remainder. Because in division, sometimes we get remainders. This one's not going to have a remainder because it had a remainder of 0. A remainder of 0 means no remainder. Okay? And then we move to the left. So we start here and then we move to the left. Now negative 8. Negative 8 is going to take the place of negative 16. Negative 16 did not have an x. So guess what? Negative 8 will not have an x. Okay. And then I move one more to negative 1. Negative 1 is going to take the place of negative 10x. Well, negative 10 had an x, so that means negative 1 needs an x. So negative 1x. Okay. And then 1 is going to take the place of 1. Well, it stayed 1, but it needs an x squared. So in other words, this is x squared minus x minus 8. No remainder, because it didn't have a remainder, it had a remainder of 0. So this is my answer. This is my, what we call quotient, right? That's my answer. This is the quotient. Quotient is the answer. That's what I would put into delta math. Okay. A lot less work than yesterday. Yesterday, I saw some of the problems you did, they took up a lot of space with long division, right? They took up some space. Synthetic division does the same thing, but doesn't take up as much space. But it is different. It's something you've never done before. Long division, you guys have been doing since fourth grade. So that might make more sense to you. On the test, I'm not going to say you have to use synthetic division. You have to use long division. I'm not going to tell you which one to use. It's up to you, whichever one you prefer. Okay? But before you make your decision, I want you to practice synthetic division. So we're going to do a couple more examples. Okay? So use synthetic division to find the result when at 3x to the fourth minus 11x to the third plus 4x squared minus 2x, when that is divided by x minus 1. Okay? So first thing we're going to do is we need to have a little box up here with the 0 of the divisor. Okay, so let me highlight these again. Oops, nope. Okay. I have two things that I'm dividing. Which one is the divisor? The green, or sorry, the yellow or the purple? Which one is the divisor? Which one would come second? Yeah, it's going to go in front, right? The yellow would be the one that goes in front for long division. Okay, so I'm going to use x minus 1, except I don't want to use x minus 1. I want to use the 0 of x minus 1. So what would the 0 of x minus 1 be? Positive 1. That's the number I put here. Okay. Now, the purple is the dividend. I only want the numbers. I don't want the letters. Okay, so I'm going to put a 3, a negative 11, a positive 4, a negative 2. What is this guy missing that the last guy had? Look at the purple compared with the purple that you just had. There's something it's missing that the last guy had. Which part? The number at the end, right? With no x, right? Well, the bottom one, this guy doesn't have it. It stops after negative 2x. So I have to put in a placeholder, right? We've done this before. A placeholder of, what do I put in its place? 0. Okay, I just got to remember that. Still use placeholders if something's not there. Okay. Draw a line underneath. Start my process. First number comes straight down. Okay. Now I multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. Add straight down. Negative 11 plus 3. Negative 8. Keep going. Multiply. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Add straight down. I get 4 plus a negative 8. Negative 4. Negative 4 times 1. Negative 4. Add straight down again. Negative 2 plus negative 4. Negative 6. One more time. Negative 6 times 1. Negative 6. And I stopped there because I ran out of numbers on top. 0 plus a negative 6 is negative 6. Okay. Division is done. So now we have to give back the x's and the remainders and all that stuff. Well, again, the last guy here is the remainder. That guy is the remainder. Okay, so I'm going to start with that guy. So that guy I'm going to write first. So I write the remainder as a fraction, right? That's what we did yesterday. We're going to do today too. So I wrote the remainder on top. What goes on the bottom? What went on the bottom? Or what's going to go on the bottom? Not 1, x minus 1. X minus 1. Yeah, that's still the same. That's still the same. The divisor, right? This guy is still going to go on bottom. Not the 0, just the divisor. Okay? And then I put a plus in front. Then I move to the next -6. That guy is going to take the place of the 0 that wasn't there, right? With no x. So -6 is just going to be -6. Then -4. -4 is going to get an x. Then -8. -8 is going to get an x squared. And then 3 is going to get an x squared. Oops, sorry, x to the third. They go in order. That's your answer, just like you did yesterday. Just like you had answers like that on Delta Math. Except this process took a lot shorter than the process you did yesterday, right? You had 6 problems and those took some time. Here, it's less room, but it's just, again, it's synthetic, right? It's different. Okay, that's what you would put as your answer in Delta Math, just like you did yesterday, right? The fraction and everything, because that's the remainder. Okay. All right. So now let's try some others. The thing with synthetic is they usually ask you different questions besides just divide. Just like number 3. Number 3, they ask you a different question. They say, hey, this guy here is a factor of that guy there. The yellow is a factor of the purple. What does that mean if it's a factor? No remainder, right? Goes into evenly, no remainder. So I already know that I'm going to get a remainder is going to equal 0. I already know the remainder is going to equal 0. Okay? And then it says find the zeros. What's another name for zeros that we've heard before? One starts with an R, one starts with an S, one starts with an X. Roots, solutions, x-intercepts, that's what we're looking for, right? We're solving it. This is just saying, this is another way of saying solve. That's all it's saying, solve. So we're going to solve using synthetic division, okay? So let's set up synthetic division. Okay. So what number is going to go inside the little house? +2. Good. +2. And then the coefficients are going to go in front. 1, -7, +4, +12. Do I need any placeholders for this guy? No, I don't think so. I got 3, 2, 1, no power. Good. Okay. And then draw my line. Okay. Synthetic division. First guy goes straight down. Multiply. 2 times 1 makes a 2. Add straight down. I get -5. Multiply. I get -10. Add straight down. I get -6. Multiply one more time. I get -12. And my last number is 0. I should have gotten 0 as my last number. That should have happened because it said it was a factor. So I should have gotten no remainder. That's good. That's what I wanted. Okay. So no remainder. Let's give it back its x's and x squareds and all that. Let's do that. So no remainder. So I don't have to worry about that. -6 stays -6 because it takes the place of 12 up here. -5 gets an x. +1 gets an x squared. Okay. So I'm left with this guy here. This type of guy should look very familiar. I still have to find the zeros though, right? How am I going to find the zeros for x squared minus 5x minus 6? You've done it before. Set it equal to 0 right there, right? Trinomial. It's a trinomial, right? Directions are right on the board. We've done this before. Set it equal to 0. It's already in standard form. Factor out a GCF. There is no GCF. ABC. Okay. So I get a negative 6 and a negative 5. So I got to find out the two numbers that multiply to be negative 6 and add to be negative 5. Negative 6 and positive 1. Then I go to the box. X squared. So this is the guy I'm focused on right now. X squared minus 6 minus 6x plus 1x. X minus 6, x plus 1. Okay. So this is the factored form of x squared minus 5x minus 6. How many zeros do I get? Or how do I find the zeros now? Yep, set them equal to 0 like you've done many, many, many times. Okay. So how many answers do we have? How many zeros do we have? We have 2 zeros, right? How many answers should we have for this problem? 3, right? So we're missing 1, right? We have 6 and negative 1. Those are correct. Where's the other one? Not the remainder. You're close. Somewhere up here. We're missing a 0. This guy right here. Yeah. The number we said equal to 0. That's a 0, right? That's why we said it was 2, because it's a 0 of a factor, right? That's the definition of a 0. It's a 0 of a factor. So there's our other answer. We got a 2 up here. So our 3 answers, like we should have, are 2, 6, and negative 1. Since they're solutions, they each get their own box on Delta Math. 2, 6, negative 1. They each get their own box in Delta Math. Enter twice, green check. Okay, so just don't forget about that guy, because a lot of times I've had students put 6 and negative 1 in there and they hit twice, enter twice, and it says wrong. And they're like, I did it right. And I'm like, yeah, you did it right. You just forgot about, because we need to have 3 zeros. Okay. Okay, so number 4. Number 4, we need to have 3 answers. Number 4, we also need to have 3 answers. Okay. Same question. The part that's different is this guy right here. He's a different color. That guy right there, right? It doesn't say this is a factor like the last one, right? That's the green part's the difference. Okay, so what does that mean? F of 3 equals 0. See where the 3 is? What's usually in that spot? X, right? So what this is saying is when X is 3, you're going to get what as an answer? That's a 0. That's what a 0 means. When I plug in a number and I get 0, that's the definition of a 0. Okay? So what they're saying is this guy right here is a 0. Whatever number that is, that's a 0 because it equals 0. That's where we start. I don't have to change the sign because they already told me that's a 0. They didn't say it's a factor. If they said it was a factor, then I would have to change the sign, but they didn't tell me that. They said it's a 0. So now I can go on. 2, negative 13, 26, negative 15. Okay. So now I do the same process. Move the 2 down. Positive 2. Positive 2 times 3 is positive 6. Negative 13 plus 6 is negative 7. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. We get a positive 5 here, positive 15, and I get 0 as a remainder, which I should have because they told me 3 is a 0. They said 3 is a 0. Okay. So let me give back the x squareds and the x's and all that stuff now. Start with 5. 5 is positive 5. Doesn't get an x because it's the first guy. The next one gets an x. The last guy gets an x squared. Set it equal to 0, just like we did last time. Trinomial, it's a trinomial. So I'm going to go to my steps, my trinomial steps. Set it equal to 0, make sure it's in standard form. Done. Factor out a GCF. They don't have a GCF. A, B, C. So let me do that. 2, negative 7, positive 5. So I get 10 and negative 7. So I'm looking for the two numbers that multiply to be 2, or sorry, multiply to be 10, add to be negative 7. Negative 5, negative 2. Okay, so now I need to do the box. Again, my focus is here with the box in green, so I put a 2x squared here, positive 5 there, negative 5x, negative 2x. One of them needs to be a 2x, and one of them needs to be a 1x. 2 is going to go up there. Okay, so let me move up here. So I have x minus 1, 2x minus 5 equals 0. Set them both equal to 0. So I get 1 as an answer and 5 over 2 as another answer. So I get one answer is 1. 1 is 5 over 2. I leave it as that. Don't change it to a decimal. What's my third answer? 3. Yeah, don't forget about that guy. That guy's already given. Sometimes you forget about the guy they gave you. Okay, so we get our 3 answers. All right. Okay, so the last two are kind of puzzle questions. They're not looking for zeros. They're not looking, we're going to use division to kind of solve the puzzle. That's really what they are. Okay. So number 5 here. What do you notice about number 5 that's different? What stands out when you see number 5? What stands out with number 5? The K. Yeah, the K. We've never seen a K before. That's what we're trying to find. There's supposed to be a number there. There's supposed to be a number there. We don't know what number it is. So we're trying to figure out what number it is. Okay. we're going to use division because it says, hey, x plus 1 is a factor. If you were to do that, you're going to get 0 as a remainder, right? Factor means no remainder, or 0 remainder, I should say. Remainder equals 0. Okay, so let's set up. So what number is going to go inside the little house? -1. And then I write 1. I don't know what k is, right? I don't know what k is, so I'm just going to put k. Already I made a mistake, though. What mistake have I made? Placeholder. Yeah, I need a placeholder. I need a placeholder between which two? Yeah, between the 1 and the k, I need a placeholder because there is no x squared. It's 0x squared. So I need to put a 0 for a placeholder because there was no x squared. Okay. All right, let's do synthetic division now. First guy comes down. Multiply, get -1. Multiply, get +1. I'm going to stop right there because I don't know what k plus 1 is. K plus 1, I don't know what it is. So I'm going to stop right there. But what should I get? I'm going to fast forward to the end. What should I get at the end here? 0. I should get a 0, right? So let's go backwards. Let's kind of backwards map it. To get a 0 there, what needs to go here? -9. So we know this has to be a -9. And if that's a -9, what needed to be here? +9, right? Okay. So now we're going to focus here. So k plus 1 equals 9. What does k equal to? Yep. You can subtract 1 from both sides, or you can just say, oh, k equals 8. You can, it's kind of mental math you can do. Okay. Last one is exactly the same. The only difference is they don't say it's a factor. They say you're going to get a remainder, and the remainder is 93. So you're going to do the same thing, except your remainder is going to be 93. It's not going to be 0. Okay, that's the only difference between number 6, 5, and 6. They say it's the same thing, right? So x minus 8 is being division, is the division part. So what do I put in the box? +8, yeah. Am I going to need a placeholder for this guy? Or does it go in? Is it missing a term? X to the third, x squared, x. No, this one's not. This one's not. It only has 3 terms, and yeah. Okay. And then this one says your remainder is 93. The remainder goes here, right? That's the remainder. Put it right there. Okay. Move 1 straight down. 1 times 8 is 8. 13 times 8 is 104. So now I have this guy right here. K plus 104 equals 93. That should be true. So what number does K have to be? Let's see. Yeah, it's going to have to be a negative number. -11. So if k was negative 11, it would make 93 there. Okay. That's so with synthetic division, they ask you to do a couple different things because it doesn't take as long as long division. It's a shorter process. Okay. Tomorrow when we do our practice, I want you to use synthetic division because I want you to get used to the process. After tomorrow, you can use whatever method you want. You can use long division, you can use synthetic division, it's up to you. But tomorrow I want you to use synthetic division for practice.